Hi, and welcome to the 7th tutorial in the Python series, Creating Custom Definitions. Last time, we figured out how to do some long-term storage with pickles and to store our Python dictionary full of nouns and adjectives. This time, we're going to change our method slightly for getting parts of speech and make it a little more expansive so that we can read the story and get the part of speech from the story at the same time. So to do that, we're gonna make a few changes and probably change or update a few definitions. The first thing we'll do is to change this method is to look at our line and see how we read them in. You can see, in this line that we've been using, it says one day a %s spoke to the dog and said dot dot dot. And what we do is we use this percent here tells Python we're going to deliver some number of data to be displayed as a string where we've put a %s, and then we give it a tuple, and then we use our function to call two strings to fill those two requests that are here as a %s. So instead, we're going to invoke some method that will automatically detect when we have a value we want to replace, and then use other methods to replace it. And so to do that, I'm gonna make a copy of this line, and I'm gonna take these lines and make them commented out. And so we'll preserve the line that we had. I'm gonna get rid of this call that we've been using, and we're not gonna have a function call in this line at all. Instead, if we know that here we want an adjective, we're going to put in a special keyword that we're going to have to look for. So we'll put a double underscore and then the word adjective. Oops. And then another double underscore. We might as well spell it correctly. Adjective. There we go. Here we're going to do the same thing, double underscore noun. Okay. So now it kind of looks like, an underlined word that's just fill in the blank there, right? One day, a adjective, noun, spoke to the dog and said. So now we need to change our method to recognize this and to replace those words with the adjectives or nouns or whatever we want to replace them with. So to do that, we have to decide what we need to take in as input for our definition. And I'm going to suggest we take in the whole line here. And so we'll start a new definition here. And we can call it read and replace line. And we will take as input the line so far. We may end up taking more input than that, but that's what we'll start off with. As we go and we find more input to take, we'll make sure we throw it in there. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take the line we've as input, and we're going to make a copy of it, and we'll call that copy line. And you'll see why we do that later, but just trust me for now. Then we're going to take the line and use a Python function called split. So split is a function that will take a string of words with spaces, like a sentence, and split them. It defaults to split them on a space or a tab. So if we say split line equals line dot split with open close parentheses, that returns a list, with encased in brackets, and the list each element of the list is each word in the sentence that's separated by a space, and that will include if there's punctuation, commas, periods, exclamation points. Those will just whatever they're attached to. If they're right up against a word, they will be a part of that word. So something to consider. So now we have this list of words, and we want to do a test. So in this list of words, what we've added here that makes our special words stand out is this double underscore. So I would suggest, if we can find our definition, here we are, that we say if, okay, for word in split line. So now we're going to loop over all the words in each line we're testing. If a double underscore is in the word, so this test would say that that word is a word we want to replace. That's one of our Mad Lib words where we want to put in our own adjective or noun. So now we can decide, well, we could get a new word from a dictionary, or we could just get a new word by asking. So we'll start there. We'll say get a new word, part of speech. Okay. So if the double underscore is in the word, we need to get the new word. But what part of speech do we want? Well, the word that's in there has a double underscore, so we should remove that from the word. So we can do this. We can say part of speech equals word dot replace, another function in Python, and we want to replace any instance of double underscore with nothing. Okay, so now we can get new word, and what is get new word? We should check. It returns the new word. Okay, so new word equals get new word, part of speech. And so now we have this new word, and we're in the line, and we want to replace that word in the line. So I'll go ahead and just give you the best answer that I know. There can be an issue here. You could have an issue where maybe in the same line you want to replace 3 different nouns. And just like we did this replace the double underscore with nothing, it replaces all instances of the double underscore with nothing. So if one line had 3 nouns in it, and you were to take that entire line and replace all instances of the double underscore noun word, you would replace all 3 in the same sentence with the same noun. But in reality, you really want to only replace the first one. And so the way we'll do that is the following. We're going to define an integer as 0 to start. So we'll say j equals 0. Now, one neat thing about the way that Python handles strings is that strings are iterable, that each character in the string is 0 indexed, so to speak. So the very first character is the character 0 of the string. And so that's why we're going to start with j equals 0, and we're going to say while, and now we're going to use copy line. While copy line, and we're going to say :j, and what that means is that everything in the line up to the jth number of character in the string. So if the string had 100 characters, this will count up to j equals 99, since there's 100 characters. So while copy line j, so copy line j is the punchline. What we want to say is while the word, which we've decided is a word with a double underscore, is not in, and we're going to say copy line up to j, then we will increase j by 1. So the Python way of saying increase j by 1 is to say j plus equals 1. So now we're saying while the word that we're looking for is not in the string, keep making the string longer. Keep looking at the string at a little bit longer version of the string until we find the word that we're wanting to replace. And then once that's true, we stop counting, we stop adding 1 to j. And so now we have this substring that has the word we want to replace in it, and it doesn't have any other instances of the word, so that we can replace it just there. And so now we need to we can go ahead and do the replace, and we can say copy line equals copy line :J, and that's the part we would need to replace. So we'll say dot replace. And what do we want to replace? We want to replace the word with our new word. But we're not done yet. We want to add to this string the rest of the string that hasn't been changed yet. So now copy line is equal to the first portion of the string where we've replaced the word with the new word, plus copy line with, now we're using the kind of opposite notation. We'll say take everything in the copy line from integer j onward. And a neat thing about, well, something to know about Python is that when you stop at the integer j, that you don't include j in the line. So it's if j equaled 10, that means you'd get characters 0 through 9. And so what on the other side where we're adding the rest of the string, we're saying all the stuff up to j and then everything from j on. And so this should now return copy line with the new word in place. Okay. So if underscore is in the word, we figure out what part of speech we want. We get the new word using the new word get new word definition. And then we make sure that we only replace the first version of that word in the line. And so in our line, we only have one noun, but we'll open it up a bit so that we can test and make sure that this works the way we want to. Now we're not done yet, of course, because now we need to go through all of that, and then once we're done, we want to return copy line. So we've taken in line as input, and that's all we needed to take in for this particular definition. So we're going to read and replace line. And so now where do we want to use this? Well, we're going to want to use this in this loop here where we loop through all the lines. So for line and line, we can say line equals read and replace lines, or read and replace line of that line. So we redefine the line saying any line that has the double underscore words in it, it's going to replace that with some word. It's going to request the words, and then the engine will say the line and run it, and then do the run and wait function as it's been doing all along. So what don't we need to do? Well, we don't need to do any of this right now. So I can comment that out, and I save it. And so now we're going to run this, and hopefully it's going to request the noun and adjective that we need, or adjective and noun.
Give me an adjective, and press enter.
All right, Burly.
Give me a noun, and press enter.
Cat.
One day a burly cat spoke to the dog and said.
All right, so there you go. So hopefully if you were able to follow along, then you were able to make a new definition that's able to read the line. It looks for any word that has this double underscore in it, and it uses that information to determine what word we want to replace. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.